Hello, welcome to episode 2 of That Monday Face. Today
Hello.
we're joined by our first guest. Her name is Sheilava. She's a singer, songwriter, actor, filmmaker, and creator of the theme songs for the internationally acclaimed series Kamen American by Iconic Comics. She's been featured on Austin 360 studio sessions, ACL Radio, Global Music Awards, and has worked on dozens of multi-award winning films and music videos. Alongside her creative endeavours, she also enjoys working with non-profits, mentoring at-risk and underprivileged youth, and using her voice to lift up and advocate for others. So welcome to the show, Sheilava.
Thank y'all for having me.
Welcome. Do you know, it's an interesting, I've never heard of your name before.
Oh, yeah.
Sheilava. It's quite nice, isn't it? Where does it originate from?
So my full name is Sheila Victoria Ann. There's a little bit of a backstory where the nickname came from before I kind of dove into the film and music scene. But I used to bartend back in college to, put myself through college. And as a bartender, I would have to sign off the other staff and employees when we closed down the restaurant. And I would always sign their sheets off as Sheila VA. And that nickname I got from one of the team members. And he's like, "What's Sheilava?" And I'm like, "It's not Sheilava, it's Sheila VA. Those are my middle initials." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever, Sheilava. I'm just going to call you that from now on." Long story short, we became really, really good friends. Him and I and a few other members at that restaurant. I would even consider him one of my lifelong friends. But then a few years later, I had moved. I had graduated with my master's degree and went on to pursue my creative career full time. I got a call out of the blue one day that he had been killed by a drunk driver. And that nickname just stuck with me. And I'm like, if I ever sing professionally or start a band, like that's going to be my name. So it's very goofy, to try and say it like Sheilava, like what is that? So my one argument is like, hey, there's Lady Gaga, there's Zendaya, there's Cher, like whatever.
Why not?
Why not? But then it has that really personal meaning to me, and I'll always cherish it. So that's where that name comes from.
Because of how it happened and what happened, it's quite in depth.
Yeah.
So it's a good one to have. So you do what started first for you? Was it the acting, the singing, the songwriting, or was it a bit of everything?
It's a little mixed bag. As they say, don't put all your eggs into one basket. I kind of took that seriously, but it originally started. I went to school for music. I have my master's in music performance, and I originally started writing theme songs for films, making music with other creatives, little duets, trios. When I moved to Austin, started a band. And the more I got into songwriting and theme songwriting specifically, like trying to tell the story that the film is relaying, but tell it through music. The deeper I dove into the film scene, I just loved everything about it, from all the creative aspects. You need multiple different art forms to come together for a film to happen. You have writing, you have the technical execution of the camera work, the gear, the everything electrical has to be in sync for it to work. But then you have actors, you have the art design, you have the wardrobe, the hair and the makeup, special effects, blood. And then when you finish all that, you go into post-production and it's a whole other thing. And I equate it, it's not unlike an orchestra where you have hundreds of people coming together. Everybody has a teeny tiny part, but they all make a very beautiful, cohesive piece. And if one person doesn't do their job well, you can tell. I love that about filmmaking. So I kind of fell into it as a songwriter for theme songs specifically. And at one point I was approached by a filmmaker. It was like, "You have a really interesting face and voice. I think you'd be great for the camera." And I'm like, I don't know about that. And I started out doing music videos just to try for my own songs. And again, the more I learned, the more I fell in love with it. And I kind of took a real deep dive over the pandemic, learning what it takes to produce a film, learning what it takes to run a film set, and just really falling in love with every single aspect of it. Financially speaking, it's not the most stable career, and that's where I found being a multi-hyphenate has come in handy. When it's the slow season film-wise and I can't get regular work doing commercials or producing, assist directing, I can then work on more songs. I can work on more projects in the music scene. And like my bio stated, I have written now 3 theme songs for the internationally acclaimed series, Kamen America. It's exploding in Japan. It was actually the #1 trending topic on Japanese Twitter a few weeks ago. And it was also the #1 selling series on Amazon Japan a few weeks ago. So that kind of work I absolutely love, and that helps sustain me financially.
How did you get into doing the theme songs for that? Because that seems like quite a big achievement. There is one of that's really interesting. Yeah, you should be really proud of that. How did you get into doing that specifically?
I am so thankful and grateful of how it happened, and it actually through Facebook is how it happened. Super random.
Oh, wow.
But that same filmmaker that initially, like years back, told me, hey, you should be on camera, you should do music videos, like you've got a really interesting face. That same filmmaker tagged me in a post on Facebook that he saw from another filmmaker friend of his who was trying to help another friend of his. It was like, 3 people removed. Trying to help this company called Iconic Comics find a songwriter who could deep dive into their series, Kamen America, and put in the time to read the entire series and then flesh it out via melody, lyrics, and instrumental. So I got tagged in that random post on Facebook. There were a whole bunch of other people tagged, and it's like you just kind of have a name in a hat situation. But they on Facebook, and they're like, hey, this guy that tagged you, I trust him. I work with him all the time. I'm curious. Like, let me see your stuff. I shared my past work, and they actually love that my music ranges in genre and style all over the place, from pop, rock, funk, jazz, country to other, softer genres.
So you pretty much cover every genre in music as much as you can.
I love, I have my master's in music, so I had to study all kinds of music dating back.
Do you play an instrument, or is it all? What do you play? Do you just play the one, or do you play like loads? Because it seems like you got a whole mixed bag of.
So my specialty is actually the flute. I am a master flautist.
Wow.
I can dabble on the piano a bit. I'm much more shy when it comes to performing on the piano. But my bandmates and the other musicians I work with in Austin, Texas, they're the ones that help me carry out my ideas. I cannot play the bass or the guitar to save my life, but melodically speaking, I can hear it. I can hear a very basic bass line. I can hear a little guitar melody here and there.
Yeah.
I let them know, this is what I'm thinking. I write out a very, very basic, rough idea through an electronic program called Ableton Live. I'll write out a very simple idea, send it to them and say, all right, let me throw some money your way. Can you flesh this out? Can you make it sound like a full-fledged electric guitar solo? Can you make this bass line sound juicier? So where I lack in knowledge and skills for these other instruments, that's where my bandmates come in, other musicians I've worked with. So it becomes a very collaborative effort.
You've got an ear for it. Like, you might not be able to play those instruments, but you can hear it in your head, and you can I don't know if you've ever seen that clip of Justin Bieber with a big orchestra. Have you seen it? It's very like that kind of. He can't play any of the instruments, but he's got the ear for it, and he's coaxing everyone, like he's coaching them all to kind of Yeah, he's conducted, isn't he? He's just. Have you seen it, Andy?
No.
No.
Sorry.
He's basically got a room of a big, massive orchestra, and he starts hearing it. He just hears the music in his head, and he starts humming it and asking people
and then he's conducting each section.
And it just, it's like he's got an ear for it. He can't play the instrument, but he's got that musical ear. Yeah. So get that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Is that your favourite project that you've done, really, or is that your most recent?
So that one,
Kamen America.
I've been working with Iconic Comics on their Kamen America series for 4 years now. There is some really, really big news coming that I can't share just yet, but they are essentially also going to employ me as an actress and a voiceover actress. And I can't say what for, but it's not going to be songwriting anymore. This company has completely changed my career as far as supporting me financially with additional work, but also creatively. They've hired my band to come perform live.
Wow!
At one of the
pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I think one of the largest Comic Cons in Texas, which is saying something. Texas is very big.
Yeah.
So the last 4 years in a row, we've performed for sold out expo center of 35,000 plus people. We're performing there again in August, and that's when I think we're going to announce this next big endeavor. But again, it's just starting to kind of make its way into the US. Right now, it's huge in Japan, and anybody who's an anime lover or a comic book lover, and they're local to the Austin area, they've heard of this series. They're starting to jump on board. This next endeavor, again, I can't say anything until they do, but if anybody follows Kamen America or Iconic Comics, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, X, all the sites. You'll see some big things are brewing.
Wow, excellent. So do you do much work for the UK? Obviously, because me and Sarah are based in the UK.
So I've actually worked with a couple London composers and filmmakers. It's really interesting to me. Out of all, the entire world, like I keep dabbling and getting hit up by creatives out there, and I don't know why. I don't know if it has anything to do with just social media in general. I don't know if it's hashtags, but a few years back, I got hit up for an interview by a UK creative indie podcast. They focus on music primarily, and they're like, we heard your band song Bomb Shelter, we're obsessed. They did this huge write-up of us, and I'm like, how did you even find us? And they're like, it just popped up on my page, like, for you. I don't know like how the hashtags worked. I don't know why. But so from time to time, I'll do write-ups, interviews. I've done another podcast. And they're always in very niche genres, whether it's horror or, the music I do and the path I'm taking creatively. It's not your typical cut and dry, like, I am this and I do this and this is my box and this is my forte. It's kind of all over the place. And I like to call it like weird, almost like I'm passionate about it. And I know it's not your typical, blank, but people out there like it. Like, I like to think of myself as a big nerd, and I think nerds are cool, and I think other nerds out there see that and recognize it and appreciate it. Like, being a nerd is cool and being weird is cool. We're embracing. So
I totally agree with that. Because
fellow weird nerd.
Yeah.
Well, speak for yourself, Andy. We are weird nerds, aren't we?
Because we have the other podcast where we do, so we both go out paranormal investigating, but we have our own groups. We've met up and we've gone out together. So I've been doing the other podcast now for 3.5 years. So I wanted to venture to do something different. Still do the same sort of thing. Well, I've got all the studio and everything set up, but just go, rather than being on one niche, go out and just do completely different what's the word?
Subjects.
Different topics. Yeah, and just cover everything.
Yeah, rather than just paranormal.
Yeah, I love that. Because you
Yeah,
never know where you're going to have the, going from parallels to then intersecting with different creatives. Like, I actually love that you do, paranormal centric topics. I've had a couple paranormal experiences myself when I was younger. And I have a few songs or films or both based off of those experiences. Yeah, and I think like stuff we can't explain or we can't relay in words that resonate with everyone. I think that's some of the most beautiful work and experiences you can have, because it almost seems like a gift. Unless it's a negative one, then maybe not a gift. but yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's it's like the same idea of people who get chills when they hear certain kinds of music, see certain kinds of film, and the person who might not get those chills. It's like, why does one thing affect us and not everybody around us? I think it's really cool. So
yeah,
definitely.
I completely agree with that. It is nice when you hear that music and you just melt into it. You become part of it. And I've probably got, I'd say not even 10 songs that I listen to, all different types of music. I'm not specific on what I have my own, like I like UK house, drum and bass. That's my original, that the sort of music that I like. But I will listen to anything if it's got a good range and a good beat to it. Then I'll listen to it. And I'd say these 7 tracks that I listen to, they're all different genres of music, but each one gives me that similar kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
See, I don't really have like I don't follow. I'm not into like a set genre, and I don't follow like a set artist. I like songs on an individual basis.
Yeah.
Like any kind of song, if I like it, doesn't matter who's done it. It could be an artist that I absolutely like would never ever listen to, but there might be this one song. Yeah. So my playlist is a whole host of different
anything.
Like, yeah. So with you saying your band, you had a band, do you play like obviously like you mentioned a song before?
Yeah, Bomb Shelter.
Was that Bomb Shelter?
Yeah. So that I would say that's our most popular song, mainly because it's the first song we ever wrote as a band and performed live. So it's been out the longest, so it has the most views and listens and streams. But there's just something about the groove and the funk and the lighthearted energy that draws people into. Were you saying what genre or how to describe?
Yeah, like what genre is your band? Like specific, like do you do?
Or is it a bit of everything?
It's a bit of everything.
Kind of what you like.
So I like to identify as indie electro swing pop, because that's kind of the closest thing I can put into words. But I tell people a lot of times when I do other interviews and whatnot, I think it's so cool to be able to defy genre, but also to redefine what genres bring to us. Like I recognize and love the heck out of artists who can rule the pop world, or they can absolutely crush jazz. They bring a new flavor to R&B. Like, kudos to them. I think growing up, especially well into high school, undergrad, and then my master's, I was in everything under the sun, from jazz band to marching band, orchestra, choir. I was on the drum line for a while, competing, and I was in a church choir when I was really, really young. I played flute for the church choir. I have all these different influences growing up. And then when I graduated college, just trying like weird things. I was in a metal band. I was a singer for this metal band. And all of that.
Oh, I'm a rock singer as well. Woo!
One of my songs goes a little more that direction. But I love that you can embrace anything. You don't have to, stick to one thing if you don't want to. I will say there are a couple times where people will hear a song and they're like, that was amazing, I want more of it. And then I'm like, well, we do a little bit of everything. So that's the only song that sounds like that. And then there's a little bit of like, crap, you know. But then on the other side of the coin, I like to say there's something for everybody, right? I've met people that they will only listen to country music. That is it. They don't listen to anything else. They don't care. They're open to it. We got an incredible, like kind of bluesy country rock song called Lady Outlaw that you could literally like put on some cowboy boots and stomp the dirt with. And that appeals to them. So I love to say there is something for everybody. We don't have a full-fledged album of each genre, but you know, we have this like kaleidoscope kind of vibe. And it's
what's
really
your band
worked out
called?
well. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Sorry, there's a little delay, isn't there? I think. What's your band called?
Oh, it's the same name, Sheilava. So that's actually the other reason I decided to stick with one creative name. Since I started with songwriting, I started with my band. That led to writing theme songs for music, for this animated series. And then into acting, it's like I have a ton of IMDb credits that range all over the place, these different departments, these different positions. And, you know, for a while I was grappling, like, should I have a separate account for like my band and our film song credits under Sheilava? And then should I just put my regular old boring name, Sheila Victoria Ann, for acting and producing and filmmaking? And it's just like, that seems like overkill, like having two separate accounts.
So I was just wondering, how long did it take you to decide not to do that? To just stick with the one name?
Yeah, I would say a good year or so. I was kind of grappling with that idea. You know, it wasn't like our band was around and then I instantly fell into film. It was kind of a process, like, especially starting with music videos. You're not necessarily identifying as an actress when you're in your own music video. It's your song, you're lip syncing to it, you're the star of it, and you don't go out and tell everybody, I'm an actress. You're like, I'm a musician or a songwriter, or I have my band. Here's our music videos. But it was the music videos and people seeing my skills on camera. You know, I love diving into weird characters. I've been everything from alien to demon to Cortana in a Halo fan film, you know, to the Alice in Wonderland character for this very dark, warped video we're working on now. And people see that and they're like, I want you in my next film. Well, now at that point, I'm no longer a singer-songwriter acting in my own music video. Now I'm acting for somebody else's project, somebody else's vision. And so for the longest time, I was kind of going by both. And then people would reach out and say, hey, what do I credit you as on IMDb? Because I know you're a singer-songwriter, but like, do I still credit you as that? And I'm like, So it kind of took like a year to solidify that, but I ended up changing a couple credits from Sheila Victoria Ann and just merging everything under Sheilava. It's just a little bit easier. And it's actually easy for people to remember me that way, right?
It is.
Victoria Ann is a mouthful. It doesn't really, you know, shine in a way, but Sheilava is just so weird and it's hard to forget. Is there actually one other Sheilava out there, by the way, in India? So aside from her, I'm the only one out there, and it's easy to remember that one weird name.
How interesting though that there's another one out there. Like, it's such a niche kind of way to put your name that it's like you wouldn't think there would be.
I feel quite annoyed for you that there's another one.
I know.
I'd to get rid of him.
Who came first?
I don't know. I found out by accident because when I kind of decided to stick with that name, I'm like, let me make a new email. Let me revamp my social media. And I went to do sheilava@gmail.com and it was taken. And I was like, what?
How dare they?
And so I'm like researching online, like, who's this other Sheilava? It's somebody that, like, on all of her profiles, everything she has, it's sheila.va. But so she goes by Sheilava, but it's sheila.va, and people just read it like that. And she took the first Gmail account. So, you know, I had to go a different way. And I think my Gmail, it went from, or my email went from Sheilava@ymail to Sheilava@yahoo. And then I'm finally, it's just like too much. So I did sheilavaofficial@gmail.com to make it a little bit more easy to remember.
Yeah.
See, that sounds good anyway. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer that one.
Yeah, definitely. No, because I was struggling with the name. So when we started doing this, I've had, from when I first started, initially was 4 years ago. I was just going out investigating, and it went from Codes of the Paranormal to Codes of the Unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stuck with Codes of the Unknown for a while for the Facebook group and all that. But then it's like the people that I was working with at the time, they dropped out and wanted to do their own thing. So I'm like, right, I'm on my own. I'm not going to use my real name because I've got another Facebook account for family and friends when we go out doing like holidays and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, right, I'll take the Codes and use Codes as my surname. So that's where I got the Andy Codes from. Then I changed it to Andy D Codes for the YouTube channel on the other podcast. And then Sarah came on board, Nicole, who's from New York, and Tommy, who is never there, he's always at a birthday party. He's from Essex in the UK. And then I thought, so I did it on my own for nearly 12 months, just interviewing people and doing updates and all that. Because I felt I had to step out my comfort zone.
Yeah.
To push myself and do my own thing, to prove to myself that I could do it. And it was probably one of the scariest things I ever had to do. With the two people that I had to interview on the first time I was doing it, was awful. It wasn't awful, but inside it was awful. So then I did that, and then with all these guys coming on board, I just knew I needed to revamp it, because I've started doing the video editing and making videos for other people, only like 1 minute intros. So I went and I bought alienateproductions.com, alienateproductions.com, andy-codes.com, because same thing as you, someone had already got Andy Codes.
Yeah.
So I had to get the dash. And then I thought I'll get Alienate UK. But alienate.com had gone, and that was nearly £1,000.
Wow.
So I had to get alienate.uk, which was only £9.
That's not bad though. It's not bad, that one.
No, so that's why everything is, and it's like not a pyramid, an umbrella. So everything's under alienateproductions.com, and then everything falls below that. And so I'm just sticking with that now. I've designed the logo, that's AI, so no one else has got that version of it. It's a one-off. I did all the text and spacing, and that took forever. And I'm not doing it ever again. It took so long just to make the logo.
It's a journey. People don't realize how tedious all of this back end work is to be creative or to put your ideas out there for the world. There's so much junk you have to do behind the scenes. But it's worth it. If it was on a journey for you, it's meaningful because you kind of sifted through the sand to find the diamond to, really flesh out what would work the best. So
it's like our team. We kind of, all the pop art stuff that we do, we have a paranormal team, and a lot of our image is like pop art and comic book style and very bright and colourful, and we do a lot of it on AI, but then we tweak the AI to look a bit more like us, and we add our logo in, and it takes forever to do that. So people don't see it, but
it's a process. You have to
edit.
It is.
Well, I made that video for Daryl, that intro, the one that you was on Saturday night, Sarah. And I was chatting to my mate. They've just opened a pub, so we'd gone up there to see how it was going and have a chat with him. And she goes, "So how long did it take him to make the video?" I went, "About 20 minutes." She goes, "Yeah, but how long did it take you to make the video?" I went, "All right, 3 years and 20 minutes." It was a 3-year learning process on how to create it, where to put sound effects, where to change the effects and put the music in and the type of music, and now I can just do it. I never ever thought I was going to get to that point of I can do it and put a bit of me in every single one.
Yeah. It's like editing, video editing.
Yeah.
Emma's very good. My sister Emma, she's very good at her editing. She does all our videos now. She's very good.
She does a lot of the characters
tricky
for me as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. I keep saying she should charge.
Yeah, but she won't.
She won't.
So I'm not complaining.
No, at one point she did one for you, and then she got a massive inbox of loads of people saying, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this?" And I said, "Emma, you should even just take a tenner. Just take a tenner off everyone."
Yeah, just for the time to do it.
Just for the time, exactly. But yeah,
it's a whole thing. Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
making films, making music, literally anything. Creatively speaking, nobody, unless they do it, nobody understands what goes into it.
No, definitely not.
I think enjoying doing it makes a massive difference. Because I got to the point where I'd sit down, and this is the first time I ever understood writer's block. I knew how to make a video, and I sat down, I'm like, I have no idea what to do. And because I do it all on the iPad, and I just couldn't do it. And it was about 3 weeks before I've got to get that ping. You're that ping moment. I could be laying in bed, I could be driving, I could be out shopping, I could be clipping my toenails, anything. And it's like, and it just comes to you at any moment. As soon as you get it, it's like, I know where I need to go.
Yeah, you have to almost stop in a moment and take advantage of it. I tell people all the time, I wake up from dreams and I have a song. It's ready. It's written. And I'm like, I got to wake up at 3:33 a.m. I got to wake up and write it down. Because if I don't write it down, it's not going to be there 4 hours later when my alarm goes off. There's a really interesting book somebody recommended to me a few weeks ago, and I read it in less than 48 hours from cover to cover. About the the dangers of overthinking. I got to get the exact name of it, but it's the same idea of like the power of now. By Toll. It's like why overthinking is so dangerous, not just in general, but especially as a creative. Because if you sit there and you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this thing, and here we go. I've got my coffee. I'm at I have everything perfectly set out. Okay, ready, go. And nothing's going to happen because you're not in a relaxed state of mind. You're not present in the moment. You're actually overthinking every step. You're trying too hard. And so when you're in the vibe, when you're in the flow, when you're doing things that require zero thinking, things you do every single day, you're just kind of on autopilot, driving, showering, clipping your toenails, as you said.
Sorry, I just couldn't think of anything else.
Anything that you do so much that you don't have to think about it. That's actually when the creativity strikes, because your brain is relaxed, and then all the things that, it's pure creativity, it's pure flow, it's pure idea, they just pop out. So I teach as well. I tell my students all the time, if you're ever feeling bored with the music you play in band, or you're feeling frustrated with school and all the work you have to do, like, just go on a walk. Just go lay down for 10 minutes. Go take another shower. Take a second shower of the day. Because if you do something that just removes you from all the to-dos and all the tasks and all the requirements, just give your brain a break, and then something might come from that. If no ideas come from that, creatively speaking, at least you get a 10-minute break to just
de-stress.
That's exactly what I do. So I'll be sat here, and if I get that block, or there's just nothing coming through, I'll just put some music on. I'll tip this chair back, just close my eyes, and just go for 10 minutes. And then it's like, right, let's try again. Most of the time, it's there. No, if it's not done in that 10 minutes, like, right, I'll leave it and just leave it all set up. And when it does come, I can jump straight back in and carry on. So, but it does tend to work, thank God.
It does.
Yeah.
So, get the clippers out.
Can you talk about this film then that you've got coming out in LA?
So I have a few projects coming out. The one that's LA centric is called Black Rose. It is a Twin Peaks fan film, a feature-length fan film. And I am sworn to secrecy, NDA. I cannot talk about anything that the character goes through except state that she is on an emotional roller coaster. And everything she does, I can't even say that. I'm going to get yelled at. She's a very prominent character. Yeah, she's a very prominent character. I can't even say her name yet until we begin production. But yeah, so the writer-director has previously made another Twin Peaks fan film called Queen of Hearts. And for any Twin Peaks fans out there, if you are obsessed with the series, as obsessed as I am, and you've seen it again and again and again, you'll know how gut-wrenching it was to not see Annie Blackburn's story completed. So his previous fan film, it kind of fleshes that out. Who was Annie Blackburn? What happened to her? This upcoming fan film is a continuation of that previous one, Queen of Hearts. And Black Rose will bring back Annie Blackburn's character. My character, we have a relationship that I can't talk about, but it's very, very intense, very interesting. And the coolest part about this experience is that we're going to be filming in some of the original Twin Peaks locations.
Oh, wow.
And been utilizing some of the props from the original series. The other producer on board, Josh, he's like a Twin Peaks god. He knows every bit of fan trivia knowledge. He used to run a trivia night with David Lynch. This guy, he knows everything under the sun, and I think we're going to be splitting production between LA and Washington State. And gosh, the teaser trailer is online for anybody who is part of the Facebook groups that are like wholly dedicated to Twin Peaks, everything. Chances are you've seen Twin Peaks Worldwide. It's one of the largest Twin Peaks fan groups out there. There's almost 100,000 followers on it.
Wow.
You will see we're doing a little crowdfunding campaign to do 2-for-1 feature films. And we have our teaser trailer released online. It's on YouTube as well, under the Obnoxious and Anonymous YouTube account. It's posted up there. It's kind of all over the place. If you're into Twin Peaks and you follow that, you would have seen it by now. But the teaser trailer, it was one of the most interesting roles I've ever played because it's very provocative, very promiscuous. I'm normally like super bubbly, super positive, but I'm also, body positive and love positive and like, embrace yourself as a human being, that kind of thing. But I've never played a character like that. I've never done that for the camera. So that was like a whole other experience, trying to get into the mind of the character, like what forces her to want to do this thing for work. This is her job, actually. This promiscuous situation is her job.
Right. Right.
I'm not trying to be like anything past PG-13 right now, but it was definitely one of the most interesting roles I played. The beauty of it is that, emotionally speaking, she goes through a wide range of emotions in the span of 5-6 minutes. And you see her starting out, very innocent, wide-eyed, like, okay, here we go, day one, like, gotta pay off my car, here we go, like, what's this gonna be like? And then the male suitor walks in the room, and she's just like, okay, this is happening. I guess we're doing this. All right. So, and then there's a few moments of very awkward tension where you can tell he can feel her energy and he can feel that she's nervous and scared. And, also like he could tell she's positive and bubbly, but it's like a deer in headlights type thing.
Yeah.
And so, this is a job and this is a transaction essentially. And things get very quickly interesting. And right away, they're in the moment, things are happening, and then she kind of has a minute where she's just like, this is weird, this is awkward, this is awful, but I still have to do it. It's my job. And so you see that all these changes go through, happen to her, go through, you can see it, facial expressions and whatnot. And then at one point, he gets very much, emotionally charged, and he says something. I don't want to spoil it for, people. They can go watch it if they're curious. But he says something that completely throws her, and then you just see like the flip of a switch. She gets pissed, and she just like grabs his face, and she's like, yeah. And so this little evil side of her kind of comes out, and then we get the tiniest taste, just a fraction of what her character is in the entire series, and the range of emotions you can even imagine that she goes through the whole feature. So that's anybody who's a Twin Peaks fan, or even if you're a movie buff, you like really well written stories, go check it out. The teaser trailer is you can find it on the Black Rose Facebook fan film page. There's a Black Rose Instagram, Black Rose X, right? I always say Twitter, but it's X now. Or if you go on YouTube, it's on the writer-director's personal page. It's called Obnoxious and Anonymous. So it's,
I'm going to watch that.
Oh, I think I follow that one.
Oh, really?
Obnoxious and Anonymous, yeah. Because something popped up for that the other day.
Well, I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, algorithms are really tricky things. Like if they're reading that you and I are Facebook friends and we're communicating, all these little algorithms and AI robots that Facebook and Instagram have, they're probably like, oh, Sheila's doing, Andy might like see this. Like, here you go. They might.
It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary, isn't it, really? No secrets from anyone.
No, nothing. Can't hide anywhere.
No.
Yeah, you might as well embrace it, though. You might as well just be, here we are.
Why not?
No, exactly. I know you do a lot for non-profit as well. What is it that you do there? What is it you do?
Yeah, so the one I work with the most, which is every single year, every single spring, is Anthropos Arts, and that's where I teach the most as well. So it's a nonprofit that's dedicated to giving free music lessons to at-risk and underprivileged kids in the greater Austin area. And it's a big thing, too. I will advocate till the day I die. You see so much money and so much attention and support going to sports. Always, always, always. It's always sports. And that's at any level, from elementary all the way up through college, right? Not so much the arts. And you see kids that they're drawn to music or, painting or sculpting, and there's just not enough funding. You don't have the right materials to work with.
Yeah.
So we see some band programs, they have broken music stands, or they don't have the means to print off enough copies of music. So kids have to share a music stand. They have to share music. They have to play on broken instruments. Well, this program makes sure that every kid that's, in our program has a working instrument. And on top of that, they get free music lessons, one-on-one tutoring, individual instruction like that. That's a privilege that not everybody can afford. Music lessons in general, or I guess any kind of private instruction, it gets very expensive. And you look at all kinds of statistics, you look at classism and, just how all of these systems are stuck, and they will forever be stuck because the kids that have the opportunities are typically the ones where their parents can afford the opportunities. Yeah. So they then grow up and then they can give their kids those opportunities, and it's kind of stuck like that forever.
Yeah.
This program aims to change those statistics, and we work with kids in underprivileged school districts. I had one kid one time, they didn't have any parents. They had an aunt that's kind of taking care of them. They had no way to get to school besides a bus that drives them an hour. That's how far they had to live outside the city to afford a place to live. Forget being able to afford music lessons so they could then excel at the thing they like to do. This program gives it to them for free, make sure they have a working instrument, and then it kind of goes to that next step. Like, we are always there for them. If they have anything they're going through, we're an open door, and our director will always work with the parent or guardians or the band directors at the school, make sure like anything they're dealing with is heard, right? That they are heard. At the end of every semester, we do a really big concert where we get to perform with the kids. We don't just say go, like they get to play with teachers, and we also invite some professional musicians on stage. So that's kind of the biggest one, the one I'm the most passionate about, and it also takes up the most time because I'll have anywhere from like 8 to 15 students, and they each get that individual lesson for the whole semester. Other things I love doing are like throwing benefit events, hosting or producing, whether it's like music or film related, but making the event specific to a certain charity. I think it was was it 2022? Was it 2022? 2023 maybe. It's been a minute. I put together South by Ukraine event. So one of the biggest festivals in Austin is South by Southwest. If you haven't heard of it, I think you might be living under a rock. But we held it on the very last day of South by Southwest, and we did it multi-artistic, multi-creative event where we invited artists, painters, musicians, singers, poets, filmmakers to showcase all their work. And then everything was donation based. The ticket sales, purchases, merchandise, everything was donation based, and everything went to Ukraine. The war the war is still ongoing. It's mind blowing, but I just love doing stuff like that where you can bring together different members of your community. Anything you can do to bring people together to share their work, to share their art, to have conversations about what they're doing for fun. And then you also combine that with a mission or, an effort to help others. I just love it. I think it's the coolest thing under the sun to be able to use your voice, your platform, and, what you have before you in order to help others. Because if you don't help them, who will?
Exactly.
Bit like the para-unity community, Andy.
It is. There's a lot of people falling out over stupid little things all the time in the paranormal, and it's just we're all looking for the same thing, the same answers, but some egos are a lot bigger than some don't even exist. So, but there's a lot of people, and they want everything, and they won't share it. And it's like, but we're all doing the same thing. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know,
and I'm not going to go any deeper than that.
They're the ones that are not on the community.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So,
or ones that are on the community, but don't make themselves known on the community.
They sit and listen and watch and
yes, they're observant.
Yeah. They're the ones watching.
Yeah, I feel like that sort of, I don't even know what you call that phenomenon, it's prevalent no matter where you go or what you do.
Exactly.
There are enemies in the film scene, there are enemies in the music scene, and it's like, aren't we all like here for the same reason? Like,
we're all doing the same thing.
What's the culture like in your industry, in like the music and film, and what kind of culture is it predominantly?
Very intense, but also very passionate, and I think that's what drives a lot of personalities in one direction or another, because everybody is passionate about what we're doing. And then you definitely see some egos come out, because they'll say, well, I have this experience and I deserve this, and you don't have this experience and you should do that, right? There's a lot of opinions. I think all of because it's endless as far as like people's background, their experience, their knowledge. You see people go to film school, they have their master's or their doctorate, and then you see other people that are just like, I got this ratty old camera from my great grandfather and I just started messing with it, and now I make incredible films, and I never went to film school. I don't have that knowledge. And you see a lot of egos and frustration come out of like, well, I'm here, so I should be here, and you don't have that experience. Right? Like, I fell into filmmaking by happenstance. It's never, ever something I thought I would be doing. I even imagined doing. It's not that I ever wanted to do it. I just fell into it. Yeah. And I get that a lot. Like, you don't have a film degree? Like, what does your music degree have anything to do with filmmaking? And I'm like, I'm here and I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the best things just fall into place like that, don't they? Like, you just find yourself just off doing something that you never really set out to do, and they're some of the most best careers you can have.
Me doing this, I started off, it was a hobby to go out investigating in a local cemetery.
Oh wow.
And now it's become a job, even though I work full time.
Still get paid for it.
Yeah. Forget that bit. But it's not great. It covers costs. The money that I get from YouTube it covers costs, so it's not too bad.
There you go.
So I'm not making anything, but it's not costing me as much as what it was. But for 3 years, I was putting X amount in each month for all this, and now getting a little bit back. So I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah. So that's what people say is the difference. Like, when can you call yourself a professional? That's always a fun topic. Is like, oh, you're not a professional because you don't have a degree, or you're not a professional because it's not your full-time job. It's like, anybody who makes any kind of money, whether it's a lot or a little, it's like, if somebody's paying you to do something, that's a profession.
I'll take that.
I would even say professionals. You could even class yourself as a professional if you do something to a good standard and put it out there on a decent level on lots of different platforms, and are not getting paid for it as well.
True too.
Sort of,
If you're regularly doing it and you're passionate about it, growing and learning and changing,
exactly. If you've got that passion behind you, and you are, it's not just if it's a regular thing that you are doing all the time, then why not?
Yeah, and I think, like, you talk about culture. It's the same in the music scene. I actually have, like, the exact opposite experience, because I went and I got my master's, and it's like, well, I'm not playing the flute for the New York Phil or the Boston Pops. Am I a professional flautist? But, I use the flute. I use my knowledge of melody and harmony and technical skills in everything else I do, and I include flute in almost everything I write. I still perform it from time to time, but I see other people that they don't go to music school, they don't have any private lessons, they pick up a guitar, they fiddle with it, and then they are mind-blowing, and it's like the same idea. I think no matter what, you have to just see other people and see their gift and be like, that's cool, let me focus on mine and my path. And like, people judging each other or like comparing, that's the worst. It's just like, do your own thing. Like, we all have the same passion, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's it. Just do what you're doing, what you're good at, and let them do what they're good at, and that's it.
Yeah,
and if everyone did that, it'd be amazing.
There shouldn't be any ego or any, like, people make problems out of nothing. It's really silly.
Yeah. Sometimes I just look at Facebook and think, I don't even know why I bother. I know why I bother, but some days I wish. No.
I'm trying to envision people getting into fights or spats over paranormal anything, sightings, or
they do.
It's like, it's the same thing. Like, I love to kind of reduce things down to like very basic analogies. It's like when you watch a movie and you get tingles, or you listen to a performance of something and you get goosebumps. Yeah. And then what? If the person next to you doesn't feel that or see that or sense that, does that mean they're wrong? Does that mean you're wrong? Like, you're making problems out of nothing. And instead, you should just be like, this was my experience and I'm sharing it. And that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I've always said that. So when I've had stuff that's gone on with me and there's been other people there and they've not encountered it, maybe it wasn't for them to encounter. So I've took that, I spoke about it. And the reason I spoke about it and doing it at this level was to get other people that feel like they've not got anyone to talk to, so they can come out. So if I'm hosting the channel and I'm talking about it, then surely someone in the chat who doesn't even have to give their real name can talk about what they've encountered.
Yeah.
And just that first sentence is, well, I encountered a whatever it is. And it's just getting it out. And I've had like anonymous phone calls and text messages, people wanting to talk about it. They've held it in for like 30, 40 years, never spoke about it to
literally
anybody.
35 years. That's great.
And that's it. And they said, I feel so much better just talking to you. That half an hour phone call. So
getting it
if
out
nothing else, it's worth it for that.
Yeah, I love that, and I appreciate that so much. Like, you know, people like you are out there. It's like you're almost like advocating for those. You know, I grew up in a Catholic family, and so you can imagine when I have a nightmare about a demon, or I have a lucid dream, or I wake up in sleep paralysis, and I'm like, this just happened, and it must be because, you know, I wasn't studying the Bible hard enough. I wasn't. It must be because I'm lost or broken. I must, you know. But it's like I'm a good person. I try and love everybody, you know, equally without judgment. And I have these crazy vivid dreams, whether it's about dolphins or about songwriting or about this very spooky thing that I don't understand and I don't, you know, comprehend. And it's staring at me in the face. It's like. It's my imagination, it's my creativity when I'm dreaming, and then I see that in real life, and I'm like, okay, there's that. Like,
and just take it. Just take it for what it is.
Yeah, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to talk to people about it if they've never experienced it. You can't necessarily force them to see things or feel things the way you do, and that's okay too. But they also shouldn't shun you or judge you or freak out when you share that.
Because it's not like you're trying to shove it down the throat. It's like you have to believe. You have to. I always say, you believe me, you don't. It's entirely up to you. I can tell you what happened. I tell you what I've seen. That's it. And it goes as far as that.
Yeah, it's very subjective, isn't it? It's like it's your own experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
They should just be happy you've shared something with them.
You'd think that easy.
You'd think that,
Wow. It's definitely not. Right, we are coming up to the 1 hour mark, and I do have a question for you just before we finish.
Yes.
So, if you had to choose one of the professions that you do and forget all the rest, what would you do?
I get asked this so many times, and I'm like,
sorry.
That is a good question.
I would still choose filmmaking. That title, like I can be a filmmaker, because that means if I wake up one day and I want to write, direct, cast, act, edit, score, right? Provide music for the film. And then once the film is complete, I can also then host the event for it. I can make it charity based. I can it to film festivals. I can do red carpet screenings. I can bring so many different creatives together to make that thing happen. And I can still incorporate music, acting, art, right? Talent, all kinds. I can still do everything that I'm passionate about. I would still say filmmaking. It's actually the most recent project I'm working on right now. It's a comedy series called Basil King. Yeah. We're doing that. We're bringing so many people to the table, talents from all over the world, talents from everything under the sun, and we're bringing it all together to tell a story. And that is so cool to me. Like you can do that in different creative mediums, but for some reason, filmmaking is just like even more so. You can get even more in depth, even more detailed. Yeah. So that's my answer. And I would be very sad to not get to do like, hey, I guess I can't songwrite anymore. I guess I can't, do this other thing. But at least filmmaking, I could then do whatever I want and add it all together. So
you can do a little bit of every creative outlet in it, I suppose, as well.
Yeah. You can make it what you want. So.
Right, we are exactly on the 1 hour mark. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is going to go out on YouTube and podcast.
Oh, wonderful.
And we will be putting this out next Monday on the, I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't do the maths on the 27th.
No. June. I'm in June.
3rd? Is it Monday the 3rd?
Yes.
Yes, Monday the 3rd. So it's going out Monday the 3rd. So thank you everyone for watching and listening. Hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.